have literally been counting down the days to the college basketball season tip-off. I've watched exhibition games and I've read a million mock drafts, even though we don't even know anything. And I've seen all the preseason rankings, and honestly, a lot happened this offseason. And so there's a lot to catch up on. A lot of teams look a lot different. And so I figured before the season starts, I would just walk you through the top 5 teams according to the AP preseason poll. And then we would maybe do a few honorable mentions. And then, I'd let you know what to expect, catch you up on what happened, what we can expect going into this season. We'll speculate wildly together, and we'll have some fun. So today, we're going to start with the projected preseason ranked number 5 team, the LSU Tigers. Even though LSU is the lowest ranked team that we are going to talk about at number 5, this is actually one of the more exciting teams to talk about because this team has everything. It has all of the drama. It has recurring characters. It has hot new bombshells that have entered the villa. And it has characters that they had to kill off because they left the show. And honestly, let's get right into it and let's start with the drama because, of course, right? So we have Malaysia Fulwiley, and I'm sure that you know this already, but she used to play for South Carolina, and she entered the transfer portal. She was probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest name to hit the transfer portal. Fulwiley has an abundance of natural talent. She is a really flashy, smooth basketball player to watch. She's great with the ball in her hands. Where she has tended to get in trouble is in her patience sometimes. She plays at a really fast pace, and also her decision making at times. And because of those things, I do think that Dawn Staley is the right coach for her to make her a more complete basketball player and a better teammate as well. And I do think that Malaysia could see that. But I think, due to some internal factors and some external factors, she felt a lot of pressure to go somewhere where she could be the flashy star player. I don't know if she's going to get that at LSU, but I am eager to find out. Even more drama in a preseason media availability. I think it was a post-game media availability. Kim Mulkey said that Malaysia said, quote, "I've never worked this hard in practice in my life." And that may have been an innocent soundbite, or it may have been a little dig at Dawn Staley, which is kind of more what it sounded like to me, personally. And I do think that is completely in character for Kim Mulkey. For better or worse, she is fiercely protective of her players. And so I don't know if it was as much a dig at Dawn Staley as it was a reminder to the media that Malaysia is a Tiger now and Kim Mulkey is, her coach. And I don't think it was aimed necessarily at Dawn Staley. I think it was more Kim Mulkey laying claim and also a level of protectiveness over Malaysia publicly. Something that she did for Angel Reese and has done for players in the past. And it is for all of these reasons that I am so excited to see these two teams play each other this season, which is going to happen on February 14th, ironically. We are going to find out if there is any love lost here on Valentine's Day. And the LSU Tigers have actually never beat South Carolina under Kim Mulkey yet. They're in the same conference. If you don't know, they're both in the SEC. But honestly, this season is probably LSU's best chance to win against South Carolina. South Carolina has already been a little bit ravaged by injury, and LSU looks pretty good. So I think if there is an opportunity for them to win, it could be this season. Now, the NCAA transfer portal giveth and the portal taketh away. If you have already forgotten the absolute merry-go-round that was the transfer portal this spring, you are about to be very confused when you turn on a college basketball game this season, just as a heads up. Let's break down what the transfer portal did for LSU. Starting with taketh away. LSU lost some significant impact players this season with Miracle Shepherd, who transferred to Cal. They also lost Samaya Smith, who took her talents to Virginia. And then they also lost Last Poa, who is now a Arizona Sun Devil with her grad year. Those are some impact minutes for LSU. This is going to be a significant loss. But as I said, what they lose, they also gain. And so the transfer portal giveth. And as we already mentioned, they were able to secure Mylasia Fulwiley, which is a huge get. Along with Mylasia Fulwiley, they also secured Kate Koval, who transferred out of Notre Dame, along with pretty much everybody but Hannah Hidalgo. And they also secured Amaya Joyner, who played at Coastal Carolina, I believe, who was like a much higher achieving team than people thought, but also not one of the, big teams that you would expect. But she had a great season, should be really good for them, I would imagine, right? So some significant pieces to replace what they lost. All in all, I think they're probably net positive on what they lost and what they gained. Now, the biggest loss that they need to cover is actually not from the transfer portal. It's right here. It's Anissa Morrow, who got drafted into the W. I assume that LSU is already in the process of turning Kate Koval into America's next great American rebounder, because that's like kind of what they do, really. LSU has been on a tear in the last few years, maybe the entire time under Kim Mulkey's, the Kim Mulkey era. They essentially went from Angel Reese to Anissa Morrow on the boards, which is for the last 3 years, which is just like the top rebounding you could possibly imagine. And so I assume that Kate Koval is probably going to follow in their footsteps at 6'5". If Kim Mulkey can do this with, I think Anissa Morrow's like 6'2", and Angel Reese is, I actually have no idea, 6'3" or 6'5", if I had to guess, then Kate Koval should be able to accept the torch. All right, so that's a recap. That's essentially everything that you missed on Glee. Now let's talk about what to expect this season, right? Essentially, LSU has a very dynamic, very athletic perimeter with Flau'jae Johnson, Mylasia Fulwiley, and Michaela Williams. That's like very dynamic. Except that is a perimeter which does not necessarily love to shoot from the perimeter as their first choice. They would much rather drive to the basket, pretty much all of them. And that could be good and that could be bad. So where that might be an issue is if they face a really significant post defense, if they come up against a team that is very good at defending the paint and the mid-range, or if they play against a team that is very good at three-point shots. If they're scoring threes at a faster rate than you are scoring twos, you can never win that game, obviously. Essentially, when they play UConn, because those are UConn's maybe two biggest strengths right now. So that's where it could be a problem. But it could also be a positive if they can get their ball movement right, the amount of, and their off-ball movement as well, on-ball and off-ball movement, right, that will confuse the crap out of a defense. They can get any shot they want if they can get the ball movement right. And now, what I assume you're all here for, which is my prediction. What do I think is going to happen? I think that this could be a breakout season for Flau'jae Johnson. She's always been a known name in college basketball, but now she really is looking to solidify herself as a top 3 pick in the draft. And so she has this season to do it. And I think that there's a really good chance that she rises to the occasion, and she does that, right? I think she does solidify herself as a top 3 pick. I don't think she's the number 1 pick in the draft. But I definitely think she's a top 3, at worst, like 6. Um, and I think that this team goes where Flage goes. I think this team goes where Flage and Malaysia go together. How well they end up playing together is really going to determine this team's success, because they do bring a similar enough skill set to the table that it will be interesting to see who eats when and who handles the ball. So I think this team goes where they go, and so for me, their ceiling is Final Four appearance. My advice for you this season, if any of this sounded interesting to you, specifically, I would pay attention to LSU's conference play. They're in a great conference with the SEC. They're going to play Texas. They're going to play South Carolina. And they're going to play Kentucky. They're going to play a lot of other really great teams this season. And honestly, their March Madness strength of schedule, their seeding is really going to depend on how they do in conference play and in their conference tournament. So if you're going to catch any of the LSU games this season, make sure to catch their conference games, and definitely make sure that you watch that game on February 14th. The Valentine's Day massacre, potentially, if emotions run hot, as they tend to do on Valentine's Day. You don't want to miss that game, 8:30 Eastern on ABC. And one more thing, I would be remiss if I didn't say, yeah, go Tigers!